Origin Gents, welcome to Reaction. This is disturbing new photos from the Epstein files released. This is my channel double Lew Levelin Moss. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Why is that double L? Or is that I don't know. Yeah, so this is I wanted to react to this type of videos. And there was like a Whitezilla video, but he usually talks about things and it just feels weird to react to somebody who's just talking. This feels like somebody who's actually going to show the photos. And yeah, judging from the view count, I guess it's good and decent video. The files were released and I don't know what was revealed. I didn't see something earth-shattering happening. Otherwise, it would be breaking news everywhere. So I don't know what to expect from this. But this is going to be interesting. I don't know why I'm watching this first. This is my first reaction of the day, and I'm sure my mood's going to be ruined seeing some of this shit. But let's waste fun.
House Oversight Committee today released 68 new photos, and these are absolutely insane photos. So we're going to go through them one by one. The first batch here are architectural diagrams drafted by a company based in the Virgin Islands, and we can actually see on the right-hand side here that it says Little St. James, U.S. Virgin Islands. This, of course, would be Jeffrey Epstein's infamous island. I'm curious why they chose to include these diagrams in this release here, because the diagrams only depict these two structures built on either side of a dock on the western side of the island. What's more interesting is this document, which details Jeffrey Epstein's plans for Great St. James, which is the island that is larger than Little St. James, obviously, and sits sort of to the northwest of it. We can see on the right-hand side here that there are plans for a cabana/tiki bar, an 80-foot tall flagpole, and a massive 60 by 100 pre-engineered storage building. Beneath that are a pool house, a tent, something I can't read.
What was he gonna store there? Okay. There have been time in the past, dark times in my life. I guess I was going through depression, or not depression, but I was seeing depressive things. Because I guess as a kid, not a kid, I don't know, I was like late teens. I learned how dark world can be, and I had access to internet, and I was very good with computers. So I dig through and I realize what fucked up things humanity can do or at least I think that's one of the most fucked up things. Maybe I haven't seen more fucked up things. Maybe I don't want to. But I know how humanity can be really, really dark and fucked up. I'm guessing all of that when I think about this. What manner of things must have happened there?
There, a heli house, presumably near a helipad, a guest house, office, another house, and a word on the bottom there that I can't quite make out, maybe observatory. If you can make that out, let me know in the comments. The next photo appears to be the interior of Jeffrey Epstein's famous temple. We saw other photos of the interior in the previous drop, which we can see here on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. The top right depicting that strange celestial-themed scene, and the bottom right is a screenshot of a famous drone video taken by an unnamed person.
God. I mean, obviously, P-word thing must have happened in this island. I'm not talking about that. That is a given. I'm talking about even more fucked up things. Like humans having no value and deletion level things. Because I've seen forums and certain images in the past, way long ago. I guess those kind of websites can't survive on internet anymore, or at least Google will not tell you, where people and stories of people doing real stories of people doing really fucked up things are there. I'm assuming shit like that must happen here. Obviously, P thing would have happened. I'm just saying the first letter of the word. But even worse than that, like proper deletion level shit. Right? There was, I think it was in Dubai or was it Saudi Arabia, like rich people were hiring certain people and doing Vince McMahon thing, let's just say. There was a story a year ago or something. So I can imagine fucked upness of humanity. I'm assuming shit like that happened. Video just started yet, by the way. It's like 18 minutes left, and I'm just preparing myself. That's what I'm saying.
By the name of Rusty Shackelford. For many years, that was the only glimpse at the inside of this strange temple, which was the fixation of interest for most people when it came to Jeffrey Epstein's island. And now we can see that the same two mattresses are on display in this photo. This photo depicts a structure that previously we hadn't been able to see really into. It's a gigantic green structure buried amid various palm trees and things like that. And it looks to be some sort of a warehouse. There's maybe a workshop there on the right, as well as a storage area that's accessible to industrial vehicles, trucks, and forklifts and whatnot. If you watch my previous video, you'll recognize this setting almost immediately. This is the sterile kitchen that is almost uncharacteristic of Jeffrey Epstein.
It's scenic though, right? I know it's a weird, but I'll just say, look at that, the kitchen, and like you see window and you see island and like water. Damn, that shit is scenic.
And we can see blacked out on the left-hand side there, if you'll remember, there was a photo of a naked infant playing in a sink. It's not clear whose child that was, but as we'll see later,
Playing in a sink? Okay, I don't want to think about this.
Infant playing in a sink. It's not clear whose child that was, but as we'll see later, that photo was not always there. We'll come back to that in a moment. This bathroom appears to be the same one that we talked about in the previous video, belonging to a little pool house building on the western side of the island. I'm not sure what the significance of this particular photo is, but we can see that two of the nude portraits on the left and right-hand side are blacked out. This photo shows Jeffrey Epstein standing next to Miroslav Lajčák, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia. It's too much to go into right now, but Jeffrey Epstein has been revealed to have had extensive ties to politicians.
That's the one thing that, how do you justify this? This Slovakia guy, how the fuck is he going to justify this? Epstein wasn't a politician. Why are you meeting with him in his island? What reason can there be? How do you explain this away? That's what I'm saying.
In Eastern Europe, and he even had acquaintances who clued him in on things like real estate deals in Russia. The other notable thing about this, besides Jeffrey Epstein's just general slovenly appearance, which we can see throughout so many photos in this collection, are the fact that his pants are embroidered with the name Zorro, which is a clear reference to his Zorro ranch in New Mexico. Speaking of slovenly, here's Jeffrey Epstein in sweatpants arriving at what looks to be some sort of airport and shaking hands with an official who, judging by the emblem on his left shoulder, looks to be from the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I was puzzled by the significance of this photo as well as why Jeffrey Epstein would be shaking hands.
Yeah, what is this, celebrity? Okay, if it was a Tom Cruise, I understand, like people want to take photo of it. Why is Homeland Security guy taking photos of him with handshake? Was he famous? I don't think he was famous, right? I don't know. He was one of those guys who just like hangs around in the background, like how in music industry, how DJ Khaled was. Does he sing? Does he not? He just says like DJ Khaled and just hangs in the background. That type of shit. Maybe not the best example, but still. Why is he taking
hands with such a person? You know, generally when you go through the airport, it's sort of a hostile experience. It's definitely not one where you're shaking hands with TSA agents or immigration officials. And we can see on the right-hand side here that there's a official portrait hung up on the wall. And I was able to match that with this official portrait of Kirsten Nielsen, who was the director of Homeland Security from December 6th, 2017 to April 10th, 2019. So that means that this photo would have been taken some point between those two dates. And it's interesting not only just because he's shaking hands with this person, but also that they...
Okay, this guy only has near 30,000 subscribers. He should have more. I guess it's one of the start of the videos. Like, his channel isn't that old. Definitely go and subscribe. This is some investigation shit. I love it.
appear to be taking a photo together, and that someone is taking a photo of them taking a photo. It's just a bizarre situation from every angle. This photo shows Jeffrey Epstein having dinner with a man who I was not able to find out who he was. He's probably of Middle Eastern origin, and the following photos will show that Jeffrey
The way he dressed, the way he's wearing his glasses, he could be Indian. I don't know, right? I don't know.
Epstein had extensive contacts in that area, but I wasn't able to find out exactly who this person was or where the photo was taken. The next photo illustrates a little piece of knowledge that is useful for any time you're looking through these Jeffrey Epstein photos. Anytime you see those leopard print chairs, the photo was taken in New York City. The left-hand side of the photo depicts David Blaine, that famous magician, and he's doing card tricks for Thomas Pritzker, who is one of the most notable members of the Pritzker family, one of the United States' most wealthy families. They're sort of hotel chain magnates, and they also have holdings in a lot of different areas as well. To the right of him is Ehud Barak.
Yeah, but wealthy, how wealthy? Like, there is a level of wealthy. Like, wealthy as in, like, Musk level wealth. But then again, how wealthy is Musk, right? There are, like, numbers. Okay, $200 billion, $100 billion. This is assumed wealth. Like, people think he has that much value. Does he have asset to back that? There are people who doesn't have value in that way, but they have many assets throughout the way. So, like, even rich has different variable, right? There are very old families who are rich but doesn't like come to like the list of rich. And people are like, how the fuck they're not in the list? Yeah, because they don't have a company that is perceived to be really rich, but they have way too many assets. They probably owns most of the things. That has value.
The former prime minister of Israel, and to the right of
What?
Ehud Barak, as we're looking at him, is Woody Allen, the famous film director. The next photos show Jeffrey Epstein speaking with Steve Bannon, who at the time was a close advisor to Donald Trump and is quickly becoming one of the most important figures in understanding Jeffrey Epstein's late life. Steve Bannon is in possession of hours and hours and hours of interviews and footage of Jeffrey Epstein that he was going to use for an unreleased documentary about him. And in case you needed further proof that Jeffrey Epstein was a narcissist and an egomaniac, we can see on the right-hand side of this executive desk that he has that Jeffrey Epstein has a full-size photo of himself, sort of a headshot, framed.
You know what? I don't have one photo in my house about me. As a, my parents have put a photo of as me as a kid, but that's their thing. I don't have a single photo of me anywhere. Why the fuck would you have that? Like, what is even that? I don't understand people putting their own photo on the walls. Like, what is that? In memoriam, you're here. What is that? What is that supposed to be? Or people say, oh, that's you. Yeah, I can see you. You're here. If I die and there is a photo, that makes sense.
And facing outward for everyone to see. In this photo, Jeffrey Epstein speaks with Sheikh Jabor bin Youssef bin Yassim bin Jabor Al Thani, who is a prominent Qatari businessman involved in everything from insurance to the energy industry. He's been mentioned several times in Jeffrey Epstein's emails, mostly by the sort of nickname Jabor Y. This is a photo of Jeffrey Epstein and someone who I was not able to identify in Jeffrey Epstein's house, and Epstein looks to be wearing what's called a bisht, which is a traditional Arabic, specifically Saudi Arabian, piece of clothing. Coming back now to Jeffrey Epstein's very sterile island kitchen, this is Sultan Akh.
Okay, why is he saying that very sterile? What does that mean? Is there an emphasis on that? Like, this is a very sterile kitchen. Was he putting emphasis there? Like, that's a weird thing to say. Okay, your kitchen is very clean. Whatever.
Ahmed bin Salayem. He's one of the most prominent connections that Jeffrey Epstein has in the Middle East, specifically in the Gulf. Salayem is the CEO of one of the world's largest shipping and logistics companies. It's called DP World. But we can also see in the right-hand side there that photo that we talked about earlier of the naked infant swimming in the sink is not there. It looks to be a painting in some sort of gilded frame. Jeffrey
Epstein didn't have a kid. So Epstein's kitchen having a photo of a baby infant playing in a sink? Yeah, I don't want to think about this like I said in the past. Like, my brain goes to very dark places and I don't like that. Maybe I'm a cynic. Maybe I always assume the worst, but I don't know. Like, it's Epstein. Of course I'm going to assume the worst.
Epstein sits next to a girl or woman with her face redacted in this photo, taking some sort of air transportation, possibly a helicopter.
Wait a minute, that's not that good of a redaction. Maybe. I mean, if she's famous enough, you can figure that shit out with some kind of like AI tools or something. I'm pretty sure even if you like crop and put it on Google Photo, maybe. Nah, I don't think that's enough, right? There's not even mark or something there. I don't know.
Or a plane. And one thing that's kind of interesting about this photo is that he has a bandage on the right arm, typically where you might do a blood draw or something like that. So I wonder if he was undergoing some sort of medical treatment at this point in time. Here's Jeffrey Epstein with Bin Salayem, the man that we just spoke about, standing in front of a chalkboard with calculations that I'm way too dumb to know anything about. If you're a mathematician or a scientist of any kind and can clue me in on what these calculations are meant to represent, please do in the comments. I can see to the left side of Jeffrey Epstein the word DNA, but that's about all that I can do. Here's a gross photo of Jeffrey Epstein with 3 different girls around him seated in his New York City townhome. One of them has her arms wrapped around him. One of them is looking at something on the computer, and the other is being assisted by Jeffrey.
What is this? This is also the in thumbnail, right? What the fuck is this? Of course he's going to talk about it because it's in thumbnail.
Epstein and putting her watch on. The thing about this photo that immediately piqued my interest is not the women, it's that creepy
What in the fuck is this?
photo on the wall there. And I looked it up and it actually belongs to the steeplechase in Coney Island where Jeffrey Epstein is from. So it's probably a nod to his childhood. However, it is quite creepy. Jeffrey Epstein hosted some sort of meeting of the minds between his different scientist friends. The one is Mikhail Gromov, who is a scientist, mathematician. The other is Seth Lloyd, who is a mechanical.
Okay, I don't understand the disturbing part. Okay, most of them are him just meeting with people. When his disturbing photo comes? Him just meeting with people is that disturbing enough, I think. I don't know. He's just like meeting people. Disturbing which way?
Engineer at MIT. In the middle is Martin Novak, who is a evolutionary biologist at Harvard. He's still there. However, he has extensive ties to Jeffrey Epstein that have been proven over and over again. And on the right-hand side, kind of looking down possibly at his phone, is Bin Salayem again. We get another angle of this meeting. I'm not sure where it took place. It looks like it could be some sort of faculty lounge or university setting. And some people have speculated in this final photo that the person sitting to the left of Jeffrey Epstein is Peter Thiel. However, I don't believe that to be the case. I think it could be Joshua Bach, who we spoke about in a previous episode.
Sultan and Epstein talking about mathematical problem of meeting professor. What the fuck were they doing? Devising way to brainwash people and make them mindless husk, new discovery. I don't know. What the fuck is happening?
Episode, he had some very strange ideas about exterminating certain types of people, the ill and the elderly.
There was a DNA written in one of the boards. I see where this is going.
For example, but I can't say for certain that that is him. The next file is a photo of an inmate request from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. This would have been during the time that Jeffrey Epstein was imprisoned, that so-called sweetheart deal down in Florida. I'm not sure what to make of this particular inmate request form. It says on the bottom here, although I'm not sure who wrote it and I can't make out every word, but it says, I wanted you to know something, 817, pulling you by the hand, learning to drive, GED, listening in the pink room, something and movie, made.
This is a code. As clear as day. There is no reason to write any of this if this is not supposed to be a fucking code. Could be a threatening letter. Like, I know shit. Basically something like that.
Me say it and then didn't. Paris, Dubai, something blanked out. And then it says head on hand and then a word I can't quite make out.
It's probably a threat with a location given as well. Come on.
On the right-hand side there, it says David Copperfield movie. And then on the bottom, the official response field, it says, I love you. And then back up on the top in the other field, it says, love of my life. If you've been to prison and know what this kind of form is used for and have any theories about this, let me know. The next photo is of a prescription medication called Phenazopyridine. I had to look this up. I'm not a doctor.
Phenazopyridine could be like antipyretic, Like acetaminophen is, could be. I don't know.
But it says phenazopyridine is used to relieve the pain, burning, and discomfort caused by infection or
Could be antipyretic.
irritation of the urinary tract. It's not 100% certain to me that this is for Jeffrey Epstein, but on the left-hand side of the bottle there, we can see that it says 301 East 66th Street, which is a building that is owned by Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and in which Jeffrey Epstein rented multiple units. This is a photo of two compound bows. I'm not sure whose they were or what the significance of them is. The following photos are from a billionaire's dinner attended by Jeffrey Epstein, and the photos have been previously released, but a lot of people didn't know about them because they're only on an archived website on edge.org, and you can look into that if you want to see the original photos. The conference was attended by very influential people such as Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Yeah, that is. Okay.
But in these photos released as part of this tranche of documents, we can see David Brooks, who is a New York Times columnist and actually who recently wrote a piece arguing that the Jeffrey Epstein files are not interesting and that America should basically not pay any.
I wonder why he did that. This is so stupid. If you're connected to any of this, best thing to do is shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm David Brooks. I'm influential. What I say matters. You know what, America? Don't listen to this. I say it. People are like, get the fuck. Who asked you?
Attention to it and that it's a big spectacle. So his inclusion in these documents is quite interesting. We can also see Sergey Brin, who is one of the co-founders of Google. Here he is smiling wide with several bits.
Oh no, Google is involved. God.
Of whatever he was eating in his teeth. This man is Salar Kamangar. He was the CEO of YouTube at the time. Here's Jeffrey Epstein giving new meaning to the words too close for comfort. Here's David Brooks again.
What is the context of these photos? Why is that these photos were released? What is this supposed to mean? Okay, they were in meeting in this whatever rich people meeting they were in. How does this means anything?
Here's a photo of Jeffrey Epstein and Woody Allen, probably taken outside of Jeffrey Epstein's townhome in New York City. Behind them, I wasn't sure exactly who this man was. I saw some people speculating that it was Dick Cavett, who was a former television host. And I don't want to say with 100% certainty that it was him. However, I googled Dick Cavett and Jeffrey Epstein, and it seems that Dick Cavett was penciled into Jeffrey Epstein's schedule at one time. And I also found this photo of him on the left hand.
That face and that face looks exactly identical. This face doesn't for some reason. I guess it could be the angle or whatever. But look at this face and look at this. It feels completely same.
Hand side here, wearing a very similar cap. If you zoom in on both of them, they both have the same braided leather bit along the brim there. Here is Bill Gates and a woman whose face is redacted in some sort of a hotel room. Here is Bill.
Now we get to the spicy shit. Woman redacted and Bill Gates smiling. Yeah. Is this why Bill suddenly found his calling and now doing just foundation after foundation trying to help people? Because he know one day Piper's gonna come calling. This is insane.
Bill Gates with a different woman who I have to say her body language looks incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or it could be just taken photo in very bad moment. Maybe she was scratching. I don't know. But yes, she's also grabbing her elbow like that, which is that element of I just want to go into fetal position. That's what this is. It's psychologically that way. If you're comfortable, you'd be very open. Because that's how humans work. If you're uncomfortable, you just go like this if you're creeped out or something.
Comfortable. We can see in the glass-paned doors in the back that it says Signature Flight Support. Signature Aviation is obviously an aviation company, and Bill Gates, interestingly, in 2021, made a move with Blackstone and another hedge fund to
Oh, God.
acquire Signature. I'm not exactly sure
Blackstone, Bill Gates, part of the Epstein files. Illuminati might as well be real at this point.
where this photo was taken. The signature does have a presence in the airports both at Palm Beach and Newark Airport, which Jeffrey Epstein frequently flew into whenever he wanted to get to New York City. But it could be a different one, I'm not quite sure. Here's Jeffrey Epstein with Noam Chomsky, the left-leaning philosopher and thinker. And some of the final photos in this batch of documents are photos taken of passports and various
Everything's fucking redacted. What am I supposed to do with this one? Lithuania.
forms of identification belonging to women. This first one is an ID.
Oh, that's why. I'm pretty sure like the DOJ was like given like you can't redact things left and right. Maybe that doesn't apply to like victims or something. This is some women's thing, so I don't know. Could be that. I don't know.
Of a woman. We can see the F there under the sex field from the Republic of Lithuania, but everything else is blacked out. The next two are from women from Ukraine.
Damn, all right.
After that, there's an ID from someone from South Africa, and that is also a woman. Here we have a passport from someone from Ukraine, as well as one from a woman from the Czech Republic.
What's with the Ukraine and Czech Republic and like this Eastern European type places? Like, damn, all right. Why are these people always like, like part of shit like this, right? They get screwed, they're the victim, they're like come abroad and this happens. I don't know.
This is an Italian ID, and we can see under the field 4C that MC means that the person concerned is from Macerata, which is in the middle of Italy, central Italy. This visa comes from Morocco.
Damn, all right.
This photo appears to be one of Jeffrey Epstein's personal passport. It says the bearer was convicted of a sex offense against a minor and is a convicted sex offender. This photo is of a woman's passport from Russia, and this one is of Jeffrey Epstein's personal passport. Now we get into really some of the grossest photos,
Oh no.
the most shocking ones of this collection here. This appears to be of a woman's back, and on it is written, "She was Dolores on the dotted line," which is a quote from the book Lolita, that infamous, very controversial book about a pedophile. And Jeffrey Epstein, interesting.
Can you be more on the nose? What the fuck?
As we just learned this year, owned a first edition copy of that book. There are quotes from this book written all.
Hold up there. So that is inked in her back like a tattoo. Who the fuck would deliberately do that? See, again, my mind is going very dark places. Like, did they have a choice? Like, they don't know you're tattooing this because I said so.
All over this woman's body, whoever she is. It says she was Dolly at school in this photo. In the next one, it's
her torso doesn't feel that big. How old is she? I don't like this.
when it says she was Lola in Slack.
Okay, why does every one of those photos look like there's a bruise there, right? Am I wrong? Look at that. See, they feel like might be bruise in the center. I get it, there's a spine, but still like it's very reddish, right? Look, in this one, like you can't really see it, but in this one, look at there's a bruise here, right?
Slacks. In the next one, which is written on the woman's foot, and we can actually see the copy of Lolita in the back, it says she was low, playing low in the morning, standing 4'10" in one sock. So really just depicting this girl as a child. And the person who wrote this relishing in this depiction. It's really almost beyond belief and sickening. Written on this woman's chest is the beginning of that book. It's quite a famous beginning. It says Lolita, the tip of the tongue taking a trip of 3 steps down the palate to tap at 3 on the teeth. And as if that wasn't disturbing enough, we have a screenshot of someone's phone. I can't tell if maybe it's Telegram or WhatsApp, but whatever the case, it says, I don't know, try to send someone else. I have a friend.
At least that's 18. That's how fucked up this is. I'm glad that at least it's 18.
Friend Scout. She sent me some girls today, but she asks $1,000 per girl. I will send you girls now. Maybe someone will be good for Jay, probably Jeffrey. And then it says name, blanked out, 18 years old, something else that's blanked out, height, blanked out.
What do you mean 1,000 per girls in departure city something Russia? Is that what I think that is? Oh.
Measurements blanked out, weight blanked out in kilograms. And here's something wild. That next word, Schengen, with the check mark next to it, I believe refers to the European system by which you can travel between certain states without border checks or various identifications.
Isn't that with all European Union countries? EU countries, yeah. Non-EU countries, oh, okay, because they added some of them. That's why, okay, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland, okay.
Checks. This appears to be some sort of trafficking. And on the bottom it says departure.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like they don't have a say or something. 1,000 per girl, what the fuck?
City, something in Russia. It feels as though this year, 2025, has been one of the most explosive years in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. Despite his best efforts to the contrary, to conduct his activities in secrecy, it seems as though we've learned more about this man in the last 12 months than we have at any point since Jeffrey Epstein died. I'm hopeful that the forthcoming release of the so-called Epstein files gives us much more information on who Jeffrey Epstein was acquainted with, who he was working with, and what he was doing, so that the victims, the
could you stop zooming in? That is creeping me out.
Countless women who were impacted by his actions can actually see some sort of justice done, even though Jeffrey Epstein will never face the consequences of his actions. I thank you very much for watching.
Wait a minute, that's it? I'm pretty sure I saw some like news headline saying like Bill Gates was also one of those, not Bill Gates. Bill Clinton was one of those things, like their photos were out there, right? Like why wasn't that here? I don't know. The first comment is, my question is, how many Jeffrey Epsteins are out there? And worse, how many men worse are out there? Like I said, like there was a recent thing in like Middle East and one of the rich countries where like certain rich peoples were doing Vince McMahon things on people. And they were obviously like, like they were paid and not something, but still that's fucked up. Like who knows what worse thing from there it can be. Wake me up when they arrest people. Yeah, good luck with that. Then you're gonna sleep very long time. Alright, well, that was disturbing new photos. Like, yeah, this implies a lot of things. That's why this is really disturbing, right? It would be less disturbing if it just point blank says something, but this implies a lot of things. I still don't know what to think of that kid, baby, in a sing photo. What is even that? I don't know. This was by Levelin Moss. Go to original video page link from there. Support this channel. I don't know what is there going to be more. Like this is it. This was all it was for. Release the files. They released. This is all there is. I don't know. All right. Well, see you next time.